morning, Pastor Dan.
Good morning, Pastor Brett. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Welcome to episode 3 of Two Pastors and a Pod.
Episode 3. Here we go. Let's do this.
I
Third
have,
time's a charm, right?
yes, and I have added, speaking of 3, I have added a third nickname to our podcast.
Let's hear it.
It is Two Pastors and a Pod, 2 PH. That is it. So,
all right, man.
Have options for people and whatever they want to call our.
Yeah, we'll see what sticks.
For sure.
What you been up to?
What's that?
What you been up to?
We're gonna get into that in a second. Right now. What I want to do is I want to do our second edition, our second version of "Don't Waste the Shutdown," where we answer that exact question.
Okay, here we go.
What have you been up to since the stay home, since the shutdown? What have you been doing over this past week?
All right. Well, I've been doing a lot. What I've been doing the previous few weeks, just getting a lot of odds and ends taken care of around the house.
Sure.
Been going on a lot of hikes. We went down to Highland Rock. We go over to the Metro Park nearby.
Nice.
There's like 40 plus acres that's attached to our neighborhood that our neighborhood owns. And so my kids have kind of discovered that or rediscovered that over the last week or so. And we went back there a couple of nights ago. They and then a neighborhood family, they had started building this fort, and it's made out of sticks. And I went back there, and it was really creepy. It was just weird. It looked like something out of Blair Witch Project, that movie.
So they're just
that was a lot. That movie was kind of old. Yeah, that movie's probably before your time. Have you ever seen it or no?
Pieces. And I've heard of it. I've heard it referenced, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, I went back there. I came out when I was in high school, and as soon as I saw it, it took me right back to that movie, to that time, and I was like terrified. I'm like, okay, Lindsay, we got to get out of here. So.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. So wait, they just built this fort just to hang out in it and stuff like that, or what?
This is what happens when you're in lockdown, man. You can't do anything. Although they're outside their house running around.
Yeah, but still.
But they were staying their social distance with the other neighborhood family. They did make that clear when they were telling me about it. So.
I've seen pictures and videos of neighborhood people, and everyone stands at the end of their driveway and they social distance wave and talk to each other. That's what I envision in my head right now.
Right.
Oh, that's
all right, man. What have you been doing to save the shutdown?
Yeah, so I've been doing a couple of things. First of all, my wife's been keeping me busy. We kind of redid a part of our kitchen.
Okay.
So we have this countertop, and we took this adhesive new countertop. It's one big giant sticker, and we stuck it over our countertop. And we had
is it a different color, or is it a pattern or something?
Yeah, it is. It's a white marble pattern.
Oh, that's nice.
An entire day cutting and sticking. Oh, it was a pain, but we did it, and it's done now. So it looks pretty nice. So we did that. Also, since this shutdown, I broke a personal record.
How many push-ups you could do in a 1 minute period or something? Or
how many push-ups I can do. I broke my record for the most likes and retweets I have ever gotten on one of my tweets.
Oh, really?
Are you ready for this? On this tweet, I got 194 retweets. And
I went viral.
And I got 1,334 likes.
Holy Toledo's, Batman.
So somebody had tweeted, y'all thought Trae Young, this is a basketball player, or as basketball players, beating Harrison Barnes by 42 points in 2K was bad. It's a basketball video game. Andre Drummond, an ex-Piston.
I can't stand him.
Beat DeMarcus Cousins by 52 points in 2K on national television. LOL.
Wait. On national television?
ESPN broadcasted a bunch of NBA players playing 2K against each other.
Really?
And so Drummond beat Cousins by 52. So I replied to that tweet and I said, now we know what Andre Drummond has been doing instead of practicing free throws. And that thing went absolutely viral. I tweeted it at 11:30 one night. And I woke up the next morning and I had 600 notifications on my phone.
Oh my goodness.
And that was it. That was what it was from. A personal record.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. It was a true honor. I felt so good about it.
So ESPN is actually showing basketball players playing basketball video games, and they're going up against each other.
Yeah, and they did a tournament, and it was
That's like a big thing. Like people will go on YouTube and they'll watch other people play Medal of Honor or whatever popular video game, right?
yeah. There's a whole streaming service called Twitch. It's like YouTube for gamers, and you can just watch people play video games.
That's ridiculous. And then there's that. And then who's the Detroit Lions fan? That's like a big time. He's got crazy
Ninja.
hair.
Ninja.
What's that?
Ninja. He's like number one. He's a huge Lions fan. But yeah, that's what
I don't get it, but whatever.
That's what they do. But yeah, it felt good. It was a real honor. It really was. And that was how I avoided wasting the shutdown.
There you go. You're sending out tweets about people playing video games, basketball players.
And roasting Andre Drummond, one of my least favorite athletes.
There we go. Okay, I'll give you that. So, well, congratulations.
Thank you. So, hey, what we decided to do with our podcast today is we each came up with, or we're each bringing an article to the table. And you don't know what my article is, and I don't know what your article is. So we'll go through these and we'll get each other's genuine reactions. And I think this will be kind of cool to do. So we will start with my article, and my article is titled "College Student Fight Spiritual Stagnation at Home." All right. Now, before you say, "Oh, wait, just college students," I think this is applicable to everyone, not just college students.
Is this like during the coronavirus specifically? Okay, so they've left home, they've got kicked off of campus, and they've gone home. They've taken the virus home to spread it there.
How to fight
that's my own personal
while you're stuck at home during this COVID-19 pandemic and situation. So this article is written by a guy named Shelby Abbott. He is an author and he's a speaker on staff with Cru. And Cru is Campus Crusade for Christ. So it's a Christian ministry on college campuses. I think they're on like 5,000 campuses in 35 different states. It's a big deal.
Pretty big established ministry. They've been around for a while.
Yeah. And so I saw this article, I read it, and I had three thoughts. I thought, man, this is like perfect. Obviously, this is so applicable for college students. Like you said, they've all come home. They're all stuck at home. You know, they're not.
They brought the virus home, spread it there.
Exactly.
Sorry.
So I thought that, I was like, man, I got to share this with our college students at our church. And then I figured, you know what, this is also applicable for our youth students. So I'm planning on sharing this with our youth students tonight, actually. We do youth group live, and we do it on Zoom, which is what we're on now. You know, I'm going to share this with them then. And then I thought, you know what, this is actually applicable for all Christians. And so I am going to share it on Two Path.
Okay, here we go. Bring it.
Our podcast. So I think this is applicable to everyone. But again, this is just college student, really could just say Christian, fight spiritual stagnation while you're stuck at home. This article starts off by saying, now it feels like the entire country is on house arrest and every large public institution has been shut down. And most of us are back home with our families waiting, or stuck at home with our families waiting out the COVID-19.
They're stuck at home with their families.
Yeah.
I don't like how that's put. Go ahead.
They're just at home with their families. How about that?
It's like it's a bad thing to be at home with mom and dad. And
no, of course not. He says, for some of us, this is a great thing as we get to spend extra time with our parents and our siblings. There you go, Dan.
Okay.
And our
He's
family.
recovered.
But for some of us, we feel like we are locked in an environment of coldness, bickering, emotional isolation, and sometimes possibly even we are experiencing some spiritual stagnation. So he says, as we are stuck at home, we have no church on Sunday mornings, no church on Wednesday nights. We have no face-to-face interactions with others. And so with that in mind, the question he presents then is, how do we fight spiritual stagnation? When we're stuck at home, we can't go to church, we can't go to our Wednesday evening Bible studies, our Sunday morning Sunday schools. How do we prevent growing cold in our faith? Or what do we do if we don't feel like we are growing spiritually when we are at home, or as much as we to go to church now that we can't? So what he does then is he presents three great ways to fight that spiritual stagnation. And I want to share those three things with you and with our audience today. All right, so are you ready?
I'm ready. Is this a top three? Is it like we're going to start backwards,
This is
lesser to greater, or is it just one, two, three?
these are all equally important.
Okay.
So the first thing he recommends that we all stay connected as much as we are able. He says it is clear to see from Scripture that Christianity is not a solo endeavor.
Amen to that.
Oftentimes with the social distancing, it kind of feels like we are flying solo, right? We kind of do feel
Yeah.
like we are alone. I think for me especially, like I'm not with my family,
Correct.
It's just me and my wife, and my wife's a nurse, and so she's working with COVID patients, and so we're just staying away from everyone.
Right.
And so we're literally just stuck in our home, and we just feel like we're alone, and it stinks. It has not been fun. And so he goes on to say, though, although nothing can replace human contact, we do live in a day where communication can be easily accessed. Social distancing does not apply to cyberspace. It does not apply to what we're doing right now, which is
face to face.
Sending it out to people. Yeah, I mean, we're not with each other in the same room, but we still are in a way face to face. So essentially what he's saying is, hey, if you miss your church, if you miss your Bible study, your fellow church members, take the initiative to get connected online. And he says, don't just watch the videos, don't just send them to other people and sit back and enjoy them. He says, actually interact with videos, take time to call somebody else, call a friend and say, hey, did you see that incredible, amazing episode of Two Pastors in a Pond that Pastor Dan posted today? Actually interact, comment on the videos, don't just share them, but hey, get feedback. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? There are other ways and other things that we can do that's more than just sit back and watch videos and then turn them off and go about our day. Really encourage us to not just stay connected, but get involved and interact with the things that your church or your friends post.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I'm in today's day and age, we definitely have the benefit of technology, and something like this that we're doing right now obviously wasn't available 10 years ago,
right.
Maybe even was even available 5 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably, but probably not to this great of effectiveness. Yeah. So yeah, without a doubt. I mean, one of the things too that, he kind of hits upon there that at least you were talking about is just picking up the phone and calling people. Mm-hmm. That's what, this right here was originally intended for, It's to actually talk to people and not just sit there and send texts or whatever. So I do think that is definitely important. Yeah. Just part of my job, my responsibility as a pastor here, I've kind of made it one of my goals, my daily objectives to call at least, 2 people in the church or a few people in the church each and every single day, just to reach out and have that, human to human contact. So, and I think that goes a long ways, without a doubt, without a doubt. So yeah, I like it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing though, too. I mean, if you think of it, I mean, I'm always harping on the people, before this whole pandemic hit, they're always on their stinking phones. They're always sitting there and they're not even really truly living in the moments, and they're off in cyberspace being distracted. In the meantime, they're sitting there with their spouse or with their kids, and I'm guilty of this, and they're not really paying attention and taking advantage of, the human to human interaction that they could have right then here, or right then and there. But now here we are on the flip side of it, and we're saying, no, go to your phones almost.
Yeah, get on them, interact. It's a little different though. When you're on your phone, you're actually face to face with someone. It is just
right. Now, I will say this, and this could be a challenge to you. This is a challenge to me, that we could take this time to even further or deepen the relationships that we do have with the people that we are within close proximity with right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have to say that we as a family, I think I've grown closer to my kids with my wife's because of this thing. I probably, you could probably say the same thing with you and your wife. So.
Yeah. We've done a lot. We've done everything together because we have to,
Right.
A lot of fun. We've done new things. And that kind of gets into my next point here. But Yeah, that's definitely been a huge plus.
Man, I find myself so many times, over the last few weeks here, going back on what I looked down upon earlier.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, get off your phone. What are you doing? Or I mean, even here with, I don't know, there's all different sorts of stuff. So
Yeah, that's it. So that's the first thing. I really like that one. The second one, it's a little shorter, but he says just one thing you can do is you can keep a schedule. Now that we have all, or I know not all of
oh
us.
my gosh, yeah.
A lot of us have some extra time. So he says use this extra time as an opportunity to do things that you've wanted to do in the past that you just haven't had time to do. So like if there is a Bible reading plan, I've encouraged so many of my youth students, and we've actually done one. Hey, this is a perfect opportunity to dive into God's word. And
Yeah.
hey, if you want to do a, read through the New Testament in 4 weeks, this is the perfect 4 weeks to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
he just gets into not wasting the shutdown, which is what we talked about earlier.
Save the shutdown. Yeah.
Because instead of, he says, don't simply spend the days, but invest them. When you get up early in the morning and be like, hey, how can I be productive with this day? What are things that I can do that maybe I haven't been able to do,
Yeah. Got to stay disciplined though. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that is huge during these times when you do have a whole bunch of quote unquote extra time on your hands. It's so easy to waste it. I mean, even kind of going back to your first point there, or the first point in the article, I mean, it's so easy to, blow that extra time going, scrolling through Twitter, and seeing how many likes you got because you've commented something on a guy playing a video basketball game. But, I mean, it's so easy just to blow time like that, or even, binge watching, Tiger King on Netflix, or
Yeah.
I can't believe that show.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
I have not watched it yet, so I don't know.
Oh my gosh, don't do it, man. It'll suck you in. It'll suck you right in. It'll like, that's the thing too. Like you've got an opportunity here to be productive with that extra time. And then you also have the temptation to completely waste that extra time.
That's a great point.
So like going back to, the whole thing, don't waste the shutdown, save the shutdown. So
yeah, and I thought
you have to be disciplined though. You have to be disciplined. So setting that schedule, yeah, without a doubt.
And I thought like, hey, when all of this does come to an end and things do start to come back to somewhat normal, when it begins to become somewhat normal again, I want to be able to look back at this time, and I want to be able to say, hey, I did not waste it. I didn't binge watch 9 shows in 3 weeks. Instead I actually used this time to grow in my faith and grow in my knowledge of fill in the blank. The Old Testament. I've really been diving into the Old Testament, just recently. Part of that's because it's one of my classes, but the other part of it is because I really enjoyed it, So.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, that's something else we could even talk about, spinning off or as a sidebar from this point here. It's, rediscovering or discovering something that's very important to you during this time that, prior to this pandemic got pushed to the side just because you were so busy doing X, Y, and Z. So you have this extra time to kind of reevaluate some things, some, priorities, like your Bible reading, or if it is writing, or if it is reading, or whatever it is. And then, after you do rediscover this and you do establish that priorities, or that, the priority of the importance of that thing during this quarantine time, after it's done, after the shutdown gets lifted, or the quarantine gets lifted, are we going to be able to take these priorities out of it and carry on? That would be, that's interesting. I would love to see people's lives completely re-evaluated, reshifted because they took advantage of this time right here.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. That's cool. And then the last one here, I really like. He just encourages all of us, and he challenges all of us to look at our time home as a time on the mission field. I thought this is a big challenge. He said, hey, we all have friends and family who, or we just know people who aren't fellow believers in Jesus Christ, and we can use this as an opportunity to reach out to them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are down and kind of in the dumps during this stay home. I know one individual who's a friend of mine who's just been going through a really difficult time. Being stuck at home has been extremely difficult on him.
Just starving for some type of interaction and relationship too. Yeah.
And I was on the phone with my buddy who's friends with that guy just yesterday, and he said, this is just a perfect opportunity to reach him with the gospel. He's been having all these negative things happen to him. This could be an opportunity for him to say, hey, here is some good news. And even if that's over the phone or over a video conference like this or whatever it may be, we can use this time to reach people with the gospel. Or this is also, or I guess you could say, and this is a great opportunity to invite people to church. And I know we're not going to church physically, but you can invite them to our virtual church, and you can just tell them, hey, if you don't want to get up early and go to church, no worries. You can watch our church anytime throughout the day, anytime.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be on Sunday morning. Hey, you don't want to dress up and go to church? No problem. You can wear your pajamas. It really doesn't matter. But it is a perfect opportunity for us to invite our friends and our family and whoever we know that doesn't have a home church, that doesn't go to church on a regular basis. And we can begin to invite them to our church.
Yeah.
And they don't have to feel the pressure like, hey, I have to go and I have to be this and I have to be that. You can just sit in your own home and you can watch our Sunday morning services. So he just challenges us to look at our time at home as a mission field. And I'll just close with this. He says, think about this. Perhaps God has positioned you right now to be a light for the gospel from the most unlikely of places, your own home. So there's something to think about.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like that last point there.
Like, how can you,
I think, go ahead.
How can you use this time to further the kingdom? Like, what is that to you? Is that inviting someone to church? Is that reaching out to someone you haven't reached out to? And,
a lot of stuff has been removed from a lot of people's life. So when I say stuff, I mean idols.
Yeah.
And so people, I think during this time when those particular idols have been removed, like for me at sports, that's one of the things that I absolutely love. It just, you realize, okay, this is something that has taken too much time in my life. This has taken too much of a priority in my life. And so it exposes that, and so same thing with the rest of the world out there. People, I think that their idols have been exposed to some degree, and they're finding that, their soul isn't satisfied, because they're missing those particular things. And so it's an opportunity for us then to definitely reach out, with the gospel, or maybe even just start up or reestablish that relationship with them, because they're probably starving, like I said earlier, for that type of interaction and communication with people. So that's challenging. I mean, it's just like right now, okay, there's probably one person that you can think of, that everybody out there can think of in their life, that they're like, okay, I got to reach out to this person, in some way, shape, or form,
Yeah, and this is the perfect time to do it, because like you said, people want that. People are looking for that,
Yeah.
So
definitely.
That's it. Stay connected, get involved, keep a schedule, and look at your time at home as an opportunity on the mission field, an opportunity to, reach others with the good news of the gospel.
Yeah. That's good.
That's it.
I like it. Cool. All right. Mine is kind of a downer.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm ready.
This is something that I have been thinking about, especially over the last couple of weeks here. And I haven't necessarily come down on one side of this discussion or the other. There are people that I respect, like Bible teachers and pastors on both sides, and political commentators on both sides of this discussion that I respect. And so, typically I can, find one or two guys I really like. Okay, they're siding with that. And so I just go with them. Yeah. But here it's like split down the middle. And I'm like, I got no idea what's going on. And it has to deal with the balance between shutting down the government in order to save lives, or shutting down the government. That would be a great thing. No, shutting down the economy to save lives. And then on the other hand, it would be, restarting businesses in order to save lives, essentially, in the long run, because, people's lives are dependent upon, their paycheck, so on and so forth. So the article that I have is from Al Mohler. Al Mohler, very prominent, leading Christian, very, very intelligent. I think he's actually probably one of the smartest evangelicals out there today. And he wrote an article a couple of weeks ago, or actually it was March 27th, about a week and a half ago. It's entitled Save Lives First, Repair the Economy Second, and a Matter of Christian Priorities. And so he starts off by quoting Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. He's the Lieutenant Governor of Texas. And he spoke out on March 24th by saying, oh, actually, no, he doesn't quote it. Anyways, the Lieutenant Governor, he came out and he basically said that, oh, here it is. I knew I had it somewhere. He said, and I quote, "My message is that let's get back to work. Let's get back to living. Let's be smart about it. And those of us who are 70 plus will take care of ourselves, but don't sacrifice the country." And so right here, you see this Lieutenant Governor, he basically saying, listen, we need to start up the economy again. Everybody needs to go back to work because people's lives are dependent upon their paycheck. And what happens when the economy gets shut down is that there's not just economic strife, but there's also emotional strife that occurs within those particular families. There's financial issues, which then spin out of control, which goes to depression. And then there's even, I think, suicide rates are up because of it, yep, which are related to it. So, he was looking at it from that particular perspective. But then on the other side, you have the whole pandemic. If we go back to work, we're going to be reducing our social distancing. We're going to be more than likely spreading the coronavirus, which is going to put more people at risk here. And more people are going to get sick and they're going to go into the hospital. And so you have this delicate balance, so to speak. So I've been thinking about this for the past couple of weeks here. I know that there's a few people in our church who have been effective or who have been affected with their employment when it comes to this particular shutdown. And so it's just something that I've been struggling about, like, okay, well, what do we do? Do we go this way, or do we go, or do we, stay where we're at right now? Al Mohler, he says this, he goes, and I quote, "In the midst of this crisis, and these are perplexing and difficult questions, Christians must continue to think biblically and to proclaim as best we can the biblical worldview in a world searching for answers. In this specific context, Christians must ask the following: how would a Christian think through the difficulty of balancing economic strength with continued vitality in life? How do Christians measure efforts to preserve human life by stopping the spread of COVID-19 that also cause untold economic harm? How do we balance what seem to be competing interests in the quest for human flourishing?" So I don't know if you've given this any thought.
I have, actually, and when you said it's like a delicate balance, I think that is so true, because I will have one of my relatives is very much like, we got to get this economy going, we got to get this, right, people got to get back to work. And so he will call me and we'll have these long conversations, and I'll be like, man, he's right, we really do got to get this economy up and going again. And then my wife will come home from work, and she's a nurse and she works in one of the big hospitals, and she's like, shut everything down. We are gone, because there's no beds left. She's sweating. She's got marks on her face from wearing the mask and stuff like that. Damn. And so then I'm like, man, you're so right. And then my other relative will call me again and be like, and it's like, I'm constantly going back and forth between what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? But I think that's a great art. I think Mueller makes a great point. I actually saw that. I think you posted that on
Yeah,
my
I did.
Facebook post, which I think is really,
Yep.
and I saw that then. So, I think,
Go
go
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go first because I was going to continue on.
And I just think it's important, like, because I've seen not just that interaction. Obviously, you both were very civil. It was perfect. It was just, hey, here's my opinion, here's my opinion. But I think it's important that when we do have this discussion as Christians, that we always keep it civil. That even if we have a disagreement with someone else, we always speak the truth in love.
Right.
We're not offending people with our opinions. We're just, sharing our opinions and being kind about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. So Mueller, he goes on, he says this. He goes, and I quote again, "The material needs we have as human beings and the necessity of a strong economy, however, pales in comparison to the infinite value of a single human being
Yes.
and the needs we all have spiritually."
Mm-hmm.
So what I latched onto there was his expression, the infinite value of a single human being. Okay? So my question is, all right, next flu season, obviously people die during the flu season. Say next flu season is just your normal run-of-the-mill flu season, but still people die during that time. Do we as Christians, do we get behind the whole, let's shut everything down again because one person's life is at stake? I don't think that is necessarily a wise nor a biblical approach.
Yeah.
So it's just, okay, when is enough enough?
Right.
Or even put it to you like this: when, what is that point where there are so many lives at risk that we say, okay, we need to go in shutdown mode again? So like that's what I'm struggling with, because if one person's life is at risk, I don't think that calls for the entire country to shut down.
I agree.
And
even with just your regular flu, with that being out there just every single day of our lives, that risk is always there for everybody.
Everybody's everybody's life is at risk all the time. You're driving down the street.
Right.
What should we do? Should we not drive? Should we, should we ban cars?
Yeah.
Go back to the horse and buggy?
That's a great point. And even and I understand that this, we need to flatten the curve. We all understand that, so this is a little different from that, but going back to your original point, what is that line? Where is that line? Where do we as Christians draw that line and say, hey,
yeah,
that's it?
Yeah. So, this is just something that I've been, struggling with here. He goes on, he also says, and I quote, "How do we balance our concerns for the economic flourishing and material prosperity of future generations with the medical realities and dangers of the coronavirus, especially on the elderly portions of the population?" So, we need to be thinking about the future here. We need to be thinking about the generations that follow us, or, we need to be thinking about the next 5, 10, 15 years. What kind of impact are our decisions today going to have, on the future? Yeah. So I'm kind of at a loss.
Yeah.
Kind of at a loss. So, there's a whole bunch of other things going on here as well. There was a discussion, or the talk, so to speak. It wasn't necessarily as blatant as I'm going to make it right now, but a few weeks ago it was, okay, the elderly, they are more or less second-class citizens when it comes to respirators. When they're in the hospital, we need to give those ventilators or whatever it is. Our medical attention needs to be given towards the younger people. But right there, you've got the older people. They're still made in the image of God. They're still have worth in God's eyes, and we just can't simply push them aside. Absolutely. Because they're older and they've lived their life, so to speak. Yeah. That's ridiculous. And here we are as Christians, and what has been one of the major platforms that we have been speaking out against is abortion, right? So this is life prior to birth, that we're all about protecting, that we'll do whatever it takes to end abortion. But now here it is, we find ourselves in the midst of the pandemic, people's lives are at stake. Are we really truly willing to sacrifice the economy in order to save these people that are just as much made in the image of God as that unborn child is? Do you see my argument there, or do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I think that even goes back to, I know some individuals who get to stay home, hey, stay at home, don't go out, warning. And they're like, it's not that big of a deal. And they still go out and they still do things, and they're still going, to the store, and they're going to their friend's house and stuff like that. And I just think, like, as Christians, not only do we need to obey our government,
right,
but we also need to, like you're saying, like, we need to protect those people's lives.
Yeah.
And if that involves me staying at home for the past 3 weeks and just locking it down and wearing a mask when I'm going out, then I am going to be locking it down. I'm going to be, because when we go out, we don't know who we're affecting, like, hey,
right.
our family may not be directly affected, but who are we affecting?
We could be asymptomatic, and we
Yes.
could be, we could have the coronavirus, go out, and we could give it to somebody else and not even know it.
Right. And so, yeah, if we say that, hey, we care so much about this life, we care so much about this life, we need to not only care about that life, we need to care about all lives, including the elderly.
We need to be caring about the unborn life. We need to be caring, concerned about the born life, young, middle aged, the old, the elderly, whatever. Yeah.
That's really good.
So without a doubt, we need to be all about protecting and promoting the image of God in mankind.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, we also need to not take this to an extreme where we shut everything down because one person's life is at stake, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, like, how many lives need to be at stake before we say, okay, it's time to shut it down?
Yeah.
So that's I guess that's where I'm at. That's the point that I'm, like, frustrated with. I'm trying to, like, wrap my mind around or come up with some definitive figure there. And I can't, and I don't think I ever will. I'll leave that to the politicians.
Yeah, I was going to say, to me, it just goes back to submitting to the governing authorities.
Yeah.
And when they say, hey, we can go back out again, I'm going to go back out again. And if that means it's in, May or June, then that's going to be tough, but I'll listen to that. If it's next week, that'd be great, or whatever. We don't know when it is, but I think, to me, that because we don't know where that line is at, and we don't know what that line is, to me, it's like, okay, whatever the government says, I'm going to submit to, I'm going to obey, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
I don't have an exact answer for you. I'm sorry.
I don't have an exact either. I don't have an exact answer either. I brought this to, just kind of flesh it out.
Great thing.
Maybe one of our viewers will have an exact answer, an exact figure.
They can interact with our post. They can comment and let us know.
They can comment below. How many lives? Yeah.
That's it.
So it's just like, I started off saying it's that delicate balance. It's that, tension that, I find myself in right now. Just going back, though, once again, having a biblical perspective about all of this, you hit the nail on the head. We need to be promoting, we need to be protecting the image of life wherever it is found. This even gets into euthanasia, discussion, where you see this in other countries where individuals who, have some horrible disease or cancer, they're at the end of their life. They want to end their life, and we obviously, as Christians, the Bible speaks against that. We need to be upholding life, and we need to be protecting life there. So,
really good. Definitely
not an uplifting article, sorry, but something that I've just been struggling with.
I feel like it's been good. Like, I've really enjoyed this third episode of Two Pat because it's presented us with a challenge, and it's also presented us with some great thinking points. You know?
Okay, I got one more thing.
Yeah, go.
I've even thought about this in regards to church here. Like, should we come together as a church, person to person? On one hand, I want to do that. On one hand, I miss the body of Christ. I miss that fellowship. I miss that face-to-face interaction. But at the same time, I love my fellow brothers and sisters of Christ here, And I don't want us to come together because I might be putting them at risk.
Right. I
You
know.
know, when will it become that point where we feel that it's okay for us to come back together again? And I think, like what you said, relying upon the governing officials, submitting to their authority, and then maybe even when we do get the okay from the government and come back together, we do take those necessary precautions and have sort of a slow reopen, or a progressed reopen, even here at HCC. So,
Yeah.
or
And
at church.
I've just found myself,
I don't know.
I found myself too spending a lot of extra time in prayer about this too.
Yeah.
Because my heart is like, man, just go out. I really just want to go see like my family. I want to go see my friends. I want to do this. I want to do that. And that's like all in my heart. And then I literally put my shoes on to go out. And my head is like, wait, no,
Yeah.
you can't do that, because what if, and what if this, and what if that, And so at that point, I just need to stop. I'm just like, okay, Lord, I'm just going to trust you through this. It stinks, but I'm going to trust you. And then I read my article from earlier, and I'm like, okay, now I have some challenges. Now I have some things that I can do when I'm home. I can not view this as a negative, but view it as a positive. Not view this as a boring time, but view this as an opportunity to.
I mean, even going back to the first point of your article, you're missing your parents or the rest of your family.
Yeah.
We'll take advantage of the technology that's been given to us.
We're here for you. That's why we're doing it.
Tomorrow is my old man's birthday.
Really?
It's my dad's birthday tomorrow. So Lindsay and I, we were, thinking about, hey, we should go over there. I hope he doesn't watch this before that. Go over there, surprise him, like sit on the back porch, maintain our social distance. Yet at the same time, it's like, maybe we shouldn't go over there. Maybe we need to maintain our social distance. And well, we do have, our iPhones, and we all do FaceTime, or, we can all do a Zoom teleconference like this, or whatever you want to call it. We could, it wouldn't be the same, but still it could be effective. So I don't know.
It's something in the middle. It's between nothing and everything. It's right in the middle, and it's better than nothing. So.
All right, man. Are we out of time?
We are almost out of time here. So that is episode 3 of Two Pastors and a Pod. And
episode 3. It's in the books.
Yeah, we got some fun things planned for the future as well. So
we do?
Yes.
Okay. I can't wait to hear them.
Yeah. You had one of the ideas that you brought up for our podcast.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So we have some fun things planned, but it'll be down the road. So.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
All right, my friend. It's good seeing your face.
Yes. Likewise. We have to do our elbow bump to close out our podcast.
All right. Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Boom. Boom. All right. We'll see you, Dad.
All right. See you, everybody. Love you. Talk to you.